Hey, yeah, it's me, Uncle Ricky, and once again we're here. Thank you, Lord. And what are we gonna talk about? I guess we're gonna talk about the Supreme Court again because it seems that maybe if they haven't been caught in a lie, they have been caught trying a lie, ruling a lie. Basically coming up with the verdict that became law because Congress has made no laws to cover it or amendments to the Constitution to cover the situation, saying that shop owners, private business owners that deal in professions where their profession could be considered not only a service but an art, have the right to refuse service to, in this case, LGBTQ people because it violates their religious freedoms, not the LGBTQ religious freedoms, the freedoms of the shop owners because it violates some tenet of their declared religion. Now, this is amazing, it's shocking, it's also another one of those cases where the Supreme Court is really not reflecting the popular opinion of the American public, but the law has never had to reflect popular opinion. It only had to reflect the law. And the Supreme Court being, quote unquote, the highest court in the land, and they have no oversight. There's nobody above them. There's nobody watching them. Theoretically, Congress could impeach the justice, but I mean, you got Alito and Thomas doing just about every foul thing there is, and I guess if we got into a couple of others, we could find other things, but Congress is making no moves against the Supreme Court. Supreme Court justices, unlike anybody in Congress, they are there for life. Life is their term. They don't have to worry about being term limited until whoever or whatever they believe in says, hey, that's it, you're done, let's go home. Now, back to this case with the LGBTQ thing from Colorado. Usually to get a case to the Supreme Court, it's not just like you can run down and file. You gotta go through so much stuff. It usually takes you at least 2, maybe 3 years, unless you get on like you're some high-powered person or some kind of national emergency thing, or state versus state. You can jump to the head of the line, but as a private citizen, a private case, it usually takes you a while to get to even have the opportunity to be heard as a Supreme Court case. Now, there's been a lot of talk about and perhaps a lot of proof about certain organizations like the Federalist Society and other right-wing conservative organizations that all they do is manipulate cases to get them in front of the Supreme Court in hopes that the Supreme Court will rule in favor of the right-wing cause and take another chunk out of democracy and oppress some already marginalized group or begin to marginalize whatever group the extreme right wing has decided to make the enemy. In this case, it's the LGBTQ community. But see, one thing that the far right has been successful in doing is perhaps hiding the fact that whatever we do to one selected group, once we get that established, once that becomes precedent, I know you've heard that word before, and up until now it was supposed to be rock solid, but because we have this crazy kangaroo court that, is there for life, maybe that doesn't matter, but I guarantee you, once they make all these new rules and overturn all the old rules that were signs of progress as far as the United States blending as a culture, becoming the true melting pot of races, religions, and orientations, and designs, and ideologies. it's going to become precedent again. Oh no, we can't, they said it was right, even if it was wrong, and we gotta leave it alone. Especially if the right wing stays in power or gets back into power in the other two branches of government. Once they get a long-term run in 2 out of 3 branches of the government, this country won't exist. And that doesn't mean that it's going to be 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, 20 years down the road. If this election coming up, and I'm getting tired of every election is crucial, but recently the last 2 or 3, especially the last 3, are crucial, and this one is going to make them war. Because if Trump gets back in there, it doesn't matter what happens in the Senate and the House, because you're going to have Trump in the White House, and you're going to have John Roberts and the Wrecking Crew, with Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito and the 3 Bears. It's going to be a mess. This country is going to change, and it's not going to be the people's change. It's not going to be like the myth of the 1776 revolution. It is going to be the government taking back everything from the people. That's the bottom line. But let's get to the specifics. It seems that as hard as it is to get a case tried in front of the Supreme Court, after the verdict in the Colorado case saying that, the lady could turn down business from anybody that she felt was violating her First Amendment rights, freedom of religion. You had a right to believe what you want, but that does not mean that you have your beliefs allow you to determine who can do business, when, what, where, and why. And that's basically what this ruling did. If you don't know the story, it was supposedly a gay couple wanted a wedding planner to make a web designer to make a wedding web page for their wedding, and the woman refused, saying that they were gay. This is how the case worked its way through the Colorado court, through the appeals court, the state appeals court, and then into the federal system, federal appeals court, and gets to be heard at the Supreme Court level. In other words, all 9 justices, both sides saying what the hell they had to say, witnesses or whatever, and then you have the crunch time of the decision. Well, I'm not going to say it was a given, but with this current court, when it hit the docket, a lot of people started getting, upset, worried. And I guess time proved them right, because they knew which way the mental position of the 6 black robe-wearing Klans people that happen to be Supreme Court justices, how their opinion was going to go. And they sit there, it has become apparent that they sit there and they cherry pick these cases, because they know that once they speak, it's going to be hard to rectify the position. Once they overturn a precedent, or once they say that a law is not constitutional, which they haven't really been able to do on the constitutional part, but on overturning precedent, they've been basically batting 1,000. But anyway, with the LGBTQ thing, it is hard for us to imagine, and it has been recently revealed, that the whole case might basically just be bullpucky, bull hockey, bullshit, bull doo-doo, just crap. Because it appears that the plaintiffs named in this case don't even exist, or not exist to the extent that they were their names were used in the case as it was presented to the Supreme Court. One person was named, on the plaintiff's side, and it turns out this person came out and said, look, they're talking about me, and it's not me. I'm married. I've been married for, some people say 10, some people say 15. Let's just say they were married during the time that this was supposed to have occurred. And on top of that, I'm a web designer, so why should I need a web designer to design a web page for a wedding that I don't need because I'm already married and I'm not gay. I'm not even bi. So now the Supreme Court has ruled on a case and in effect made law, and it's all made up on a lie. Now the question is, with it being the Supreme Court, with all the power and all the circumstance and happenstance and all the effects that what comes out of their mouths has on the lives of the rest of the country, they made such a monumental decision on a case that was cherry-picked, and that cherry-picked case was based on a lie. The question is, did they know? If they knew, did it make any difference? And if they didn't know, is their verdict valid? You know, because they ruled on something that really didn't exist. And even though they're out of session and, you know, they're out of DC, which is probably part of the whole overall plan, because this seems to be something that they're willing to do, you know, drop the bomb at the end of the session and scurry away for the rest of the summer and, you know, let the world give the American public enough stuff to forget about by the time they come back in September. I don't think this one's going away, though, because, for one, if people start to realize, if you're a minority, if you're marginalized, any fight for any minority to have their rights protected and not trounced on or taken away is a fight for your cause, because every time any minority is put down, if that case doesn't become precedent, it becomes a case study on for people that are trying to put your marginalized considerations or desires down. Everything that has happened to the black race, black people are hated by, you know, a lot of different ways, and a lot of different other ethnic cultures say a lot of things about black people, but every civil rights cause in the United States, even the ones that are against black people, have benefited from the progress that has been made in the nation's effort to correct the mistake that slavery made in this country, the mistakes that slavery caused, until we get to here, to now, to the 21st century. We have a genuine group of concerned people with power and money, that are concerned about white people losing their place in society, or what they think white people's place in society is. And they're willing to do anything with anybody that they can to keep us in the 1950s. This is just another effort, and unfortunately, for now, this effort is working. The question is, what recourse do logical, normal, sane people have when you're dealing with the highest court in the land? Well, that's it for me, Uncle Ricky, for now, because tomorrow's going to bring something new, and I'll be right here, because that's what I do. But for now, as always, to everybody, regardless of whether you like me or not, peace out, and most of all, God bless. Till I see you again. See you. Bye.
Hey, yo, it's me, Uncle Ricky. Look, that's the end of another episode of Uncle Ricky's House. Hope you enjoyed it. Look, I need your help. I'm not asking you for money. I just want you to punch some buttons like the ones that say subscribe, comment, like, and share. I need that, really, to keep doing what I do. So until next time, peace out, and God bless. From Uncle Ricky at Uncle Ricky's House.